Every Thursday, let's get skin to it with dermatologist Dr. Sandy Skotnicki and personal stylist and beauty enthusiast Marlo Sutton for a new episode of Skin to It, where we guide you through the maze of skincare and cut through that noise to help you achieve your healthiest skin. Skin to It, a podcast brought to you by Bioderma. Welcome to Skin to It, your guide to healthy skin. I'm Dr. Sandy Skotnicki, board-certified dermatologist.
And I'm Marlo Sutton, personal stylist and beauty enthusiast. So, really excited. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the future of skincare and beauty, focusing on some really hot topics, which is AI. So, AI, beauty and personalization in skincare, and of course, beauty influencers on social media. So we have a very special guest, Jilian Lansky of August Diaries. You can follow her on all of her platforms. And she's going to discuss the role influencers play in skincare and beauty.
So I really enjoyed researching for this topic. You know, we've talked about, I'm a nerd, I read too much. And so this is one episode where it's not a medical definition. So I want to know your definition of AI, Marlo. What's the definition?
I'm allowed to say the definition of the only thing on this podcast that's not medical. Okay, so I'm going to give a definition of AI. It's the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision-making, and translation between languages, which Sandy needs a lot of help with.
Exactly.
We've started off this conversation, but as a dermatologist, what are your thoughts on AI? What is the future? What are you seeing?
With respect to skincare,
Yes.
So I think that it has so many amazing applications. I know there's a broader view of AI from other applications that are more scary, but from skincare, and we're going to delve into the different types. I think it's very interesting. I think it can be useful to help produce better products, help triage patients. So I'm very open to it. And I think a lot of dermatologists, even doctors in general, are scared like it's going to replace us somehow. I don't agree with that.
Right. And, we have to keep moving forward, right?
Yeah, you can't stick your head in the sand. You have to be part of the discussion. So I want to be part of this AI in skincare and dermatology discussion.
Yeah. Okay. So it's all over TikTok, right? This
Yes.
is, it's this heightened awareness of skin issues. Every kind of episode now, we're talking about the hair episode, sunscreen, everything we talk about. It's this influence of TikTok and where are you actually getting your information?
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the reason really we're doing this podcast is to cut through the noise. And, historically, the consumers would just rely on a very generic kind of one size fits all skincare regime, and social media and AI and that's completely disrupting this and giving you this, personalized recommendations depending on your skin type and your skincare needs and whatever you can say. I've got sensitive skin, I've got eczema, what am I using? So there's a lot of information out there, and how are we going to learn from it, and what are we going to trust?
Well, I think what you sort of said there was that we're moving away from a one-size-fits-all approach to personalized. So how does that work? Well, it works through AI and something called computer vision and natural language programming, which we're going to talk about. But the point is that consumers often they do want to try stuff before they go to the dermatology office, but there's so much information and so much stuff. So these AI kind of algorithm apps and devices are helping them streamline through their questions and their skin concerns. So we're going to sort of delve into some of the applications.
Okay. Well, I love this idea of the makeup matching.
Yes.
And I know at one point I was getting on my Instagram feed, every other post was about this foundation. And it was all run by AI. So I guess you upload a picture of your skin. They send you a full size, bottle that doesn't work. You send it back if it's not the right color match. And with story after story was that it actually worked. It actually really matched with your skin tone.
So I think what you're talking about there, and I think this is one of the applications which is quite brilliant. So the AI applications are it's called computer vision. That's the sort of AI speak, where you put your phone in front of your face, and this AI algorithm will determine your tone,
right?
And then it's going to recommend your lipstick shade or your foundation. I think that's brilliant. I think it's great. There's also something called visual artists, where you can make your own facial avatar, and it gives you products that would be match whatever you want, you know?
Well, skin tone, it's amazing. I mean, I'm coming from a fashion background. But in the 80s,
Oh,
we used to
yeah.
have our colors done.
Mhm.
And I did it. I was spring cool.
I don't remember. I think
Or
it
maybe
was
it was just
winter.
spring. I think it was just spring.
I think for some of the younger listeners, you may not understand what this is, getting your colors done. Do you
Right.
wanna, as a
Yeah.
stylist, wanna explain
Yeah.
that a
Well, I
little?
mean, it's really just working with the undertones of your skin. And I think I've worked in the fashion industry such a long time. A client puts something on and she asks me if it's her color. I'm really honest with her, right? If
Right,
it's going to make her skin look yellow or flush her skin too pink, obviously it's not the right color for her.
right.
So, I've learned that over the years, but it's really fascinating that you can go onto AI and they can just analyze in like a second and tell you
Maybe this
exactly what color tones you need.
this could be a new avenue for you as a stylist. You could do an AI app that matches your, like, the old-fashioned, colors, like
Yeah.
spring, winter, fall, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
So, some other apps that are really interesting from a dermatological point of view are these like apps that help with telemedicine. So we all
Okay.
know that access to medicine, both in Canada and the U.S. And Canada has a problem, but U.S. also has a problem with in rural areas where they don't always have access to specialists. So
Right.
telemedicine apps, I think, are great. There are some issues with follow up.
Mhm.
There's also some issues where it's very hard to assess moles and things like that, but at least there's some access there. I think it needs more work. The other issue is AI apps for dermatology that help triage skin lesions. Like,
Right.
this is such a big problem. I've been involved with a company called Triage. Basically, the whole thing is to triage a lesion for a patient so who needs to be seen first?
Okay.
And the problem with these things is there are some very good ones now, and I read about a lot of them. And I don't really want to get bogged down with the names. It's more to educate the listener that these are available.
But it is a
Um,
little scary because you're putting a lot of faith
yeah.
in this app, you know?
Well, the app that I was involved in gives you a probability.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's not giving you a diagnosis. So I think any kind of area of medicine that is visual, so ophthalmology, which is eye, so
Mhm.
looking at the back of the eye, radiology, dermatology, these are visual uh, forms of medicine, which there's so many pictures that an app or an AI algorithm that can help sort of triage the looking for really bad things, just so that
Mhm.
doctors, if you've got 1,000 things to read, okay, let's do these 100 first because
Right.
they've been flagged.
So you're going to
It's
get to the others, but you have to, it's a priority.
exactly. So I think, in conclusion, I think diagnostic apps for patients in areas where there's a shortage. There's one app made by Google engineers to help a shortage of derms in India, which I read all about, which I thought
Wow.
was great. They obviously have to be rigorously tested,
Yeah.
and we know that they're not replacing a dermatologist, and there's potential for wrong diagnoses. But we have to look at this just to say it's not working. We don't want to do that. That's bad. Is just again putting your head in the sand.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So how about these apps that assess your skin health?
So I think those are really cool. I read a lot about this thing called High Mirror. Have you heard of that?
No.
So I certainly don't want this. It's a contraption that you put, and it's a mirror, and it analyzes your skin every morning and tells you your water, transepidermal water loss, how many wrinkles you have, what you did. It's kind of almost to me a bit.
TMI.
I don't have the time. What's TMI?
Too much
Oh, too
information.
much information. But I don't want all that information. I
But
mean,
is it telling you these things and then telling you the solutions?
yeah, a little bit. I
Right.
mean, I
So
actually did.
drink like more water today or use
Water doesn't
more.
go to your skin.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oops.
It makes your whole body function better
Okay.
and your wellness better, which therefore will translate to healthier skin. But
Sorry.
there's no direct tap from your mouth to your skin. It's water. But the other one that I really liked, which I thought was sort of interesting, was Try Light plus SABI. So this is a handheld device that has different LED lights. So that blue light can help with acne, red
Okay.
light can help with wrinkles, and sort of it analyzes your skin on that day and tells you what type of light you need.
Okay.
So these are all kind of fun things. Are they necessary for skin health?
So
Don't know. Don't think so.
let's say this is kind of interesting to tie it into some of the other episodes we've done. So let's say I'm thinking I want, do I need filler? Do I need Botox? Do I need to do, is BBL going to be better for me than microneedling? Like, is it going to answer those kind of questions?
No, not from my rudimentary reading on
But
it.
maybe that's something we have to create.
Possibly another app to create in the space. One of the things, just to sort of come full circle, because we do have a guest, is I think the most fascinating and interesting application of AI in dermatology and skincare is the development of products.
Okay.
So we have a lot of questions about, what's in our skincare.
Yep.
The EU has very strict guidelines on a lot of things. Percentages of things have to be. So a company that's wanting to make or comply with guidelines can have an AI algorithm that helps, because there's thousands and thousands of ingredients.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, what sort of detergent do you want in your shampoo? Like, well, we don't want this, we don't want this, we don't want this. So this AI algorithm can actually help you pick that.
Okay.
So I think that's a very interesting application. And there's this thing called Good Face Project, which is sort of leveraging AI and global cosmetic companies in formulating products that adhere to the regulatory compliance.
Right. And we'll have to comply, like, as these are evolving too. I guess it has to be constantly updated.
Well, regulations are always evolving, and we're going to have a whole episode on that.
Right. And I was on TikTok, and so there was like this person talking about an app that tells you what your best eye cream. So the best eye cream for you.
Right.
Right.
And we had a whole conversation about this while we were prepping for this. And Marlo wasn't aware that.
Aware of a lot of things.
So there are these apps that are basically prescriptive skincare regimes. Well, there's different types. So this one she was talking about was an app that tells you the best eye cream for you, and you put in your preferences, right? I have sensitive skin. I don't want formaldehyde, blah, blah, blah. And it spits it out. But the data has to be input. So it's not like every eye cream in the world. It's only what's on that app.
Right.
And so I think in this particular instance, it was French pharmacists, right? So
products from French pharmacies, like what are the best ones? But like Sandy explained to me, I thought that was kind of looking at the database from
every eye cream in the world. No.
And
in the end, some of these apps, and I don't want to be negative Nelly, but they're selling. So it's probably endorsed by the French pharmacy industry. I don't know, actually. And so they're trying to sell their products, and they're recommending their products too. It's the same with these prescriptive skincare regimes where, and this is again driven a lot by the younger generation where they want personalized skincare. So you go on, you say what's your age, what your skincare concerns are, what your preferences are, and then it gives you your cleanser, moisturizer, etc., just for you. And then it offers you to have it shipped every 3 months. So it's selling you a product. Now, are you going to get better results? Possibly. More than likely. It will certainly deal with whatever preferences you have. If you want, no formaldehyde, no parabens, whatever. And when I was researching for this, many companies like McKinsey, which are consulting companies that help skincare brands sell their products, they say, if you don't have personalized customer experiences, your revenues will decrease.
Sure.
We want enhanced customer engagement, data-driven insights. And a lot of this, again, is coming from this younger generation that wants personalized skincare.
Yeah. And I think as customers, we're just so much more savvy now because we have so much choice. So I was telling Sandy that I did go on this app and it was selling me this hair care product. But of course, they have a lot of different shampoos and conditioners, and they ask you that you take a test. Like, what exactly do you think your hair is like and what you want your hair to be like? And then they send you out the shampoo and conditioner, and I actually love it.
Right.
I get this feeling like I've bought something that's a little bit more tailored to my needs, as opposed to like going to Shoppers Drug Mart or going to a drugstore and buying some shampoo that,
So I totally get it. And I just want to make the point that this is a type of sales marketing position, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you may get better results, but you're assuming, now you're talking about hair, but you're assuming that you have XYZ hair.
Right.
Okay? So you're putting in your parameters for what you think you need.
Yeah.
If you talk about skin, so you can say, okay, I have rosacea, I have acne, I have melasma, I have this, and maybe you don't have any of that. So you're gonna put in all these parameters
Right.
And you're going to get a product that is specifically for you and exactly what you asked for, but you might be
Might be wrong.
on the wrong track. So I just think that this has got some potential, but we just have to also look at the negative aspects as well. And I think we should end before we bring Jillian on with the whole my chat GPT experience.
Yeah.
So Marlo told me about this TikTok person who said, you can go on chat GPT. You can put yourself like your persona as a dermatologist, ask it for a specific, I said, I have sensitive skin. I want no formaldehyde, et cetera, et cetera. And they spit out products for you.
Yeah. Like what a
And
dermatologist. So with
would suggest.
Sandy said, yeah, with all of the studies that have been done recently. So as if the ChatGPT is a dermatologist and is giving you all these results.
So I have to say for the face, it was okay. But when I asked for a sensitive skin shampoo, it was horrible. It said to use this shampoo with lavender and chamomile and all these things that are actually allergenic.
Essential oils.
Yes. So again, we all know that ChatGPT makes mistakes. And in this instance, it was not a good dermatologist.
Right.
Let's just put it at that. So for the next part, we have a very special guest. I want to welcome Jilian Lansky to our podcast. We're going to introduce our guest now, Jilian Lansky. And we recorded the first part of this episode earlier. And that's why if you're watching us on YouTube, we have different outfits, but
Outfit
you
change.
can't see that on the audio. So part of the reason we wanted Jillian on, and Marlo's going to introduce her, is she's one of the top influencers in Canada. And we want to sort of have a real good conversation about, how influencers are affecting beauty, the future of beauty and skincare. And so I'll pass it over to you, Marlo.
Thank you. So meet Jillian Lansky, the creative force behind the renowned style and beauty blog at the August Diaries. Through her platform, Jillian inspires her audience to embrace their true selves, using fashion and beauty as tools for confidence. Her accessible video tutorials cater to real women earning praise from the industry and a dedicated following. The August Diaries has been featured in over 200 major media outlets, including InStyle, Vanity Fair, and Elle, and won the prestigious Best Beauty Social Media Award at P&G's Beauty Awards. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time. We know you're a busy mom now. So
thank you so much for having me.
Well, I was just thinking about how we met. So we actually met when I think you reviewed my book, and then we did a few Instagram lives for some beauty companies. I think
that's right. Yeah.
Together. Yeah. So I wanted to start off with something fun. I was reading about podcasting and interviewing, and it's sort of silly, but it's sort of fun just to break the ice. Describe yourself with 3 emojis.
Emojis.
We caught her off guard there.
I feel like I need to get my phone out to look at them.
Okay.
Because I don't remember. I've actually never been asked this question, and it's a great question.
Yeah.
Okay, let me look at my emojis.
Well, what would you describe yourself as emoji?
I
I'd
know,
say
that's
a dress.
Yeah, something fun.
I'd
Like
have
that dancing dress woman is totally me.
I'd have a hiking boot.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. A
maybe
little hiker.
Lipstick, maybe, and it's like a little doctor thing. They have those doctor ones with the goggles and stuff.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I could go into my most used emojis. The thumbs up, because I'm kind of dorky and
positive.
yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
Positive.
The big laughing crying emoji. I love to laugh. I think laughing is the best part of life, mostly when it's at yourself, but in general. And then I would also say probably the lipstick or the nails as well to represent my love of beauty. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Well, actually, on that note, we wanted to start off with I've read a little bit about you, and I know you, but tell our listeners sort of how you came to be, do what you're doing. Like you've made an incredible career out of this.
I'm what a lot of young women would call an OG influencer now. And I'm going to go ahead and take that as a compliment at this point. But I've been doing this now for probably about 12 years. I was kind of up and coming in the very beginning of the influencer push. And I basically started a blog, believe it or not, when I was in university and I just wasn't feeling very creative, and kept doing that like on the side with my studies, and then slowly started making money and, getting a few $100s for a post. And it was so exciting. And it was such a new, exciting industry. And so I've really kind of been part of many, many different evolutions of this industry, which is really interesting. And then I started doing it full time about 8 years ago or so. And so I've been a full time influencer ever since then.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
I know it is really so interesting to see the evolution. And I think we'll talk a little bit more in a bit about where you see that going. And I know just, on my level, I just use Instagram, and it's really to, for sales and to showcase things we have at the store. But I love the creative outlet. I mean, it's really coming up with ideas and trying to have this newness and freshness. And, yeah. I love it.
It's the opposite for me. I'm so busy. Like, I have this love-hate relationship with Instagram. I use it as an educational platform, but I don't have the time to be creative. And I think I'd rather go for a walk. I don't know.
I mean, the thing
I love
about
it.
being creative, though, is that you have to like give yourself time to do it, because you can't just like, turn it on. And so if you don't have very much spare time, you kind of can't really like block off a few hours to just try and be creative, Like at least with my job, that's something I have to do. But when it's not part of your everyday life, it can be tough to do.
And that's partly why I wanted to do this podcast, is I think I'm better at like a long form discussion than, doing a TikTok with like pointing up at, it's just not my jam. But anyway,
Honestly, it's not my jam either.
Yeah. No, yes, no. Okay, so just to get into it, how do you define beauty? I know that might be a big question, and then an easier question maybe is the one beauty product that you can't live without?
That's how do I define beauty? That's a great question. And again, something I've never actually been asked before, which I feel like is probably a question that something that we should talk about more often. I define beauty as anything that makes you feel something, but particularly feel good, and particularly feel good about yourself. Like whether it's makeup or art, which makeup is art, but kind of any form of beauty. You want to feel something, and mostly you want to feel really good about what you're interacting with. And that's part of what I find so interesting about art and beauty as well, like makeup and beauty, is that these visuals can evoke something in you from somebody else. And I love that. Like, I love that you can put on a red lipstick and feel so much better about your day. And I know that some people think that beauty is silly, but I think it's like a huge psychological force behind how you present yourself to the world. And I really love that about it.
I love that.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, great answer. I know when so I've been at Whole Renfrew as a personal shopper for a really long time, and when I met my husband, he didn't quite understand really what I did. He's like, "Oh, you sell clothes," but then he met some of my clients who said, "Marlo actually changed the way I feel about myself. She put me in clothes and I felt so good, and." And it changed their outlook on things and just how they feel, and made them happy and made them comfortable and made them feel sexy or empowered. And when he spoke to these women, he looked at my job and the industry even in a completely different way. Yeah.
There was a great Vogue magazine, or sorry, what's that episode? Not episode. Some month of Vogue years ago, where they interviewed like all these huge, powerful women, like senators and CEOs that loved clothes, and they talked about and loved beauty. And they're like, this doesn't diminish me as a hardworking CEO or a doctor or this or that. I love clothes. I love beauty, but Yeah, no, I think that's a great answer. And your second part of the question, Marlo, was what's your,
Oh, the
what's
beauty
the beauty
product, you
product you
can't
can't
live
live
with it.
without?
We need to know.
Um, my first answer is really what it should be, which is sunscreen.
Nice.
I definitely, when I was younger, sat out in the sun. I'm a millennial and in my later 30s now, and definitely should not have done that. So, I'm trying to undo some of the damage, but I wear sunscreen every day. I would maybe say concealer or blush in terms of makeup, just something that quickly makes you feel a little bit brighter and lighter and better about yourself. And I actually wanted to just further to Sandy's point is that it's really interesting about the way that society kind of tends to look down on things that women are associated with, and they really view them as frivolous. But
Mhm.
whether it's beauty or fashion or whatever, and they're such important parts of our lives, and even somebody who would look down on them, you can't deny that the way that you present yourself is a nonverbal first impression,
Sure.
basically. And so
Yes.
it's important for people who care about that to look put together. And it can
Yeah.
totally change the way that you interact with somebody. And that's like a huge reason why I love both beauty and fashion.
Love that. Love that.
And so now we're going to get into the reason when I was crafting this episode, AI and all the cool like tech stuff, but really, the future of beauty in the last 5 6 years. I mean, you're not seeing people aren't going to magazines to get their beauty information. They're going to social media. So how do you view your role in supporting beauty brands on social media in a good way and a bad way? Because we're going to get to some of the more controversial topics about influencers and beauty products. And how do you see it evolving? Kind of where we go from here, because it's like the Wild West a little bit right now.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that we're at quite a pivotal point in the influencer industry where, especially with TikTok being up in the air in what's going on in the States, that I feel like the industry is kind of on the precipice of quite a big shift. I think I have many roles, and a few things would be product endorsements. So a big job of mine is to try products and talk about what did and did not work for me. There's brand awareness, which you tend to talk about brands that you love, and therefore you have a better chance of working with them. The biggest thing that I think sets influencers apart is the trust factor. And um, it's something that has kind of been watered down over the years a little bit, especially because the industry has gotten so much bigger. But it's almost like having a friend that you don't really know and you can kind of go to for recommendations. And I think that's a reason why people really love interacting with influencers in that way. And then, of course, a huge part of my job is the content creation, like photos and videos. And it's a little bit like creating a little magazine shoot in small bits at a time.
Yeah.
Everybody puts different amounts of work into it. And with TikTok now, the aesthetic is a lot more quick and unfiltered, whereas previously on Instagram, things were very perfected and that was kind of the perfect aesthetic on Instagram previously.
So my question to you is, well, first of all, I'm guessing that you have a lot of responsibility on you when you are looking at
Me
different
too.
brands. Well, yes, yeah, because like you said, people are tuning in and they're listening and they're watching you and they're watching your every move. And if you're going to recommend something, you have your following is going to run out and grab it. So, like some of the things that Sandy and I've been talking about is a lot like these regulations especially in skincare and beauty products and self-care products. And there is a lot of fear mongering we find, especially on TikTok, when it's just to get these little sound bites and people like, don't use this, it'll cause cancer, and don't use this. So I guess my question is sort of how are you navigating that, and how much research are you doing on the ingredients of the products that you're recommending? And are you, yeah, warning people, or I guess that's my question.
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's something that I actually agree with. there, like, obviously I'm an influencer myself, and there are a lot of really positive things that I really love about my job. And then there are a lot of things that are a little bit scary to me, to be completely honest. And we'll get into that more throughout the episode. But I think that it's really important that I do my own due diligence. At the end of the day, a product that works for me, assuming that there's no, you know, cancer causing ingredients, and assuming that everything is kind of okay on the ingredient level, a product that works for me may not work for somebody else. And I've had that conversation with followers. Um, but I do take quite a lot of responsibility in when I recommend a product. I think that's really important. And I think that that's part of the reason why I'm around still and still have people who come to me for recommendations. I have kind of played the long game, if you will. And like, people just know. People can tell when you're being real and when you're not telling the truth. I really think that they can. And so I think it's important to do that.
So I think Marlo was discussing, or what you were alluding to, is I don't know if you sent it to me. We talked about it in a different episode. Was a influencer who posted, was in the drugstore, saying, "Don't use this. This causes cancer. Don't use this. This has parabens, which cause cancer. Don't use this. This has benzene." So, and she's not a scientist. She's not a doctor. And you kind of said, "I want to use something that doesn't have cancer causing." I think the better way, but I don't know all the ins and outs of the ingredient safety, but this one seems to be getting a lot of like, there's a way in which you can discuss it with your audience, and that one really made me angry.
Yeah.
I don't usually post anything, but I posted, and I think she took it down. It wasn't just for me, but it was very irresponsible.
Yeah.
And the next question actually is about this whole tween craze. I mean, a fun question would be, what would you tell your 13-year-old self now about
Wear
beauty?
sunscreen.
Yeah.
I think I know
We
the
got
answer
that
to
one.
that.
And then, so yeah, comment on this sort of tween craze of skincare. I mean, some of that, not to cast blame or whatever. I mean, it's just, beauty is everywhere. Self-care was so big during COVID. Well, I watched makeup tutorials. I watched a lot of yours, and it was fun. But now it seems to have gone to the extreme. So what would you tell
Yeah.
your 13-year-old self, first of all?
I just want to touch on your previous point. I think that a really big thing that influencers need to realize are their limits, and where, like, I am not a scientist, and I am not a chemist, and I'm not an expert in what is in a product. And I think that I should not, like, I can do my due diligence and my research, and I can give an opinion based on whether I like a product or not, or if I think that a brand, for example, is a positive brand or not. But I don't think that I should be the person who tells you if something is cancer causing. I am not a journalist. And while I love how widespread social media has kind of made everyone's opinions, I also think that um, there's too much misinformation, which you touched on, absolutely. But people need to know their limits, and that is, I am not a doctor, I am not a scientist, and so you should not be taking that kind of advice from me. Absolutely not.
And they shouldn't be like, they shouldn't be giving it, is what we're sort of what we're
Totally.
trying to, you are
Yeah.
totally in agreement
But
with that.
I loved what you just said, is that, you tried a product, this works for you. And you're giving your honest opinion. If, you're using this product, you're trying this product, it works for you. This does not mean it's going to work for everybody. So, this is your opinion. This is yeah.
That's a good point. One of the most common questions we get asked as dermatologists is, what's the best moisturizer? And I always flip it back and I say, it's not about what's the best, it's what's the best for you. I'm not you, you're not me. I mean, you might have acne prone skin, you might smoke, you might, I don't know, work outside. I mean, everything, there's so many different parameters. So I usually end up talking about ingredients, talk about cost, we talk about, sustainability, what somebody's interested in, female founded, whatever it is. But yeah, there's no best. And I like that part of the reason I think that you do such a great job is you're really commenting very honestly. Okay, this worked for me. I don't know if it'll work for you, but I liked this. I liked that. I didn't like this. And I think that's the way it should be.
Definitely, definitely. So, okay, another question. So, what is the best beauty secret you've ever been given? Something that you maybe still apply to this day, or when you're that you still kind of think about?
Oh, that's a great question. The best question is hard. What is the best?
Yeah.
Because of course
Or
it
really
changes
good.
for every person.
Yeah.
Um, this actually wasn't particularly from Sandy, but I think that when, especially when you get into beauty when you're younger, there's so much to consume and you kind of get excited and you're putting a lot of products on your face. And I think that making it a little bit more simple was really helpful for my skin. Um, and again, this touches back to Sandy's book, just keeping it simple, I think has been really helpful for me. And that is in terms of skincare and makeup. Like, I think that I tend to look better when I wear less or look like I'm wearing less makeup. There's like the no makeup. But yeah, I think that was a big one for me.
That's a great advice. Yeah.
So one of the things we wanted to touch on also is like some of your tips going into summer.
Styling tips. We can talk a little fashion.
Makeup and fashion and styling, because Marlo wants to talk fashion.
Because I want to talk
I like
fashion.
fashion too.
I would love to talk fashion with you.
So what are the three sort of trends that we need to look out for summer? You guys can
I'm sure we have very similar thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, the interesting thing about trends is that they're kind of less relevant now.
Totally.
Which is cool, I think. And I think that people should kind of look at trends almost like looking at a menu and pick and choose a few things that they love and that works for them and just like throw everything else away. Like, don't wear something that you don't like or that doesn't work for you and your lifestyle and your body. But that's a great question about trends. I mean, one of my favorites is kind of like the um, bright green, not quite like lime as a few years ago, but a green color for summer. I really love. I think it's very happy and
we have green.
I'm going to Japan to visit my son, and I bought these. Remember I was telling you about these? They're sustainable leather running shoes from, I think it's Sweden or something. And they have, Kelly Rutherford had them on. I love watching her Instagram stuff. And they have a big green, like on the top of the base of the running shoe.
Yeah. The sole.
Anyway. No, it's not the sole. It's the part that you see like around the edge.
Okay.
The edge.
Okay.
Anyway,
cool.
They're cool. I bought those. So I'm on trend. I got bright green.
Yeah. I know that I recently was talking to the fashion director at Whole Renfrew, and he said, it's all about skirts. It's all about skirts. And then I'm packing now to go on this trip, and I'm going to Italy, I'm putting together these outfits, and all I want is skirts. Now, you know how sometimes you just get in a mood?
Yeah.
And, like midi length skirts, a little short skirt, a full skirt. And that's sort of how, and it's interesting you say green, because I just, Dries Van Noten is retiring, and I'm a huge fan. So I'm picking up a couple of pieces here and there. And I bought this amazing green cashmere cardigan with the matching big green full cotton skirt in this like mossy color. So yeah, I mean, I totally agree though with what you said. Is somebody says to me, or wear slim jeans still or skinny jeans still? I said, you know what? To be honest, work with your body type.
Yeah.
Wide leg is in, slim leg is in, cropped is in, long is in. You just have to. I always say it's all about proportions. When somebody says to me, oh, I have to be 6 feet tall to wear that. Or like I have to be Sandy to wear that. And I'm like, no, I said, sure, there's some things that won't fit you because they're not right for your proportions, and not because you're like, I'm 5', barely 3. And I can wear a lot of big, full, wide things. You have to work with your best assets and your best, and fit to your proportions of your body.
I totally agree. Yeah. So you're saying skirts for summer. Skirts for Italy in summer. I love that.
Totally going to be in a lot like denim skirts, like pleated skirt, the whole thing.
How about
I love that.
Because I know you do fashion posts, but I really like your makeup tips and hair tips. So what's the color for summer, or what are we looking for summer makeup?
In summer, I tend to move towards quite like a peachy tone color. Um, and again, I would keep it simple. I think it's also really fun, like, especially when you have a tan, makeup is really fun to play with if it's something that you like. You can wear like a bright wash of like light blue or purple or something on your eyes, especially if you have a tan. And obviously that's not for everybody, but
Not like a tan.
Not like a tan,
Like a tan from a bottle.
sorry. Oh my God. A
So
self tanner.
a little bit,
Self tanner. Let's back.
back up. No, I'm just teasing. I mean, I'm very active in the summer, and I'll come in after I was in Chile at Christmas hiking, and I came in, I had color. And you're going to see the burn on the back of my
Oh
arm.
my
So saying,
gosh.
I had a little bit of a burn here because I missed
She
the
thought that was
sunscreen.
funny.
No,
She's
anyway.
like, let's tell funny stories. And
here's
she's
the
like, I
thing.
burned my arms. I'm
Here's
like,
the
it's not
thing.
funny.
If you wear sunscreen properly, it's a screen. You're still going to collect some color. You actually get if that's your end point, you'll get a healthier looking, nicer color. But it is important to mention that that's your body protecting itself.
Yeah.
Like when it lays down, when you have it tan, it's your body protecting itself from damage. That's what it's doing. Anyway, we got a little off topic and we do have to wrap it up soon. So you're going to ask.
Well, I think,
Yeah.
well, what we want to get into more that this AI, are you using AI? Sandy did this fun thing where she said to ChatGPT, okay, I'm a dermatologist and I want to say, okay, what would a dermatologist recommend to somebody with sensitive skin? And I want to know like a good shampoo and a good cream. And it gave a whole list of products and things to use. And
some of them were good, some of them weren't great. Have you, what kind of, just to come full circle, because we wanted you on to talk about the future of beauty, because this episode is the future of beauty, and influencers are certainly part of the story. But do you, or have you used any AI applications for makeup or for any aspect of what you do?
I haven't for makeup. Basically the only thing that I've used is ChatGPT.
Hmm.
Um, in general, I think AI can be great and also a little bit scary. And I think
sure.
that it needs somebody who can kind of look at the information and take it with a discerning eye, which can be difficult, especially because not all of the information on the internet is vetted. Most of it is not.
Yeah.
And so that's what's being regurgitated by something like ChatGPT. And so it's not like you're only getting something from a medical journal. So while it can be really helpful in a lot of ways, I think, for example, trying out a color on your skin or lipstick or whatever, I think that's really cool. But again, with the information and the misinformation, that's a little bit scary, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
we looked at that one, and then there was the one. What I asked was, it was a TikTok. It said, "You don't need a dermatologist. You just ask ChatGPT, tell them what your problem is, and they'll give you products." And it's not that simple, listeners. It's a little bit more detailed than that. I mean, yeah, and
Yeah.
we all agree. The fashion is more complicated and interesting, and it's not just about. They even said it affects how people feel.
Oh,
What
for
you
sure.
do, what I do, it's all important, and it's not going to be replaced by AI. I think the AI applications that we talked about at the beginning of this episode, some of them are really exciting for dermatology, like helping triage people with skin lesions. But yeah,
And I think in beauty, I love the color match story because I think that's fun, right? But yeah, I think it's interesting.
well, you said
And
you got that foundation that matched you perfectly.
yeah, I mean, yeah, they have that foundation. They take a picture and they can send you a full size bottle you're allowed to try and all of that kind of thing. I think that's an interesting application.
Yeah, I think that's a safer one. I mean,
Well,
worst case scenario.
I
Maybe a little
agree.
more,
I
a little
think
more.
I think it should almost be thought of as like a tool as
Yeah,
opposed to something that replaces something else. And I think
exactly.
that people thinking about AI in that way, it's a lot more healthy. Like I also think that kind of pushing AI away and being like, no, that's not good. It's not really very realistic. And it's going to be something that's part of our society, whether we like it or not. It already is. So
absolutely.
kind of
Yeah.
using it to your advantage, but also being aware of the limitations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about that at the beginning. The intro was, especially as some dermatologists are just put their head in the sand and say, I don't agree with that. I don't like it. If you're not part of the conversation, then you're going to be left behind. And so it is what it is. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything you want to add that we didn't touch on? Anything
So
you want to?
so you have children?
I do. I have one son. Yeah.
You have one son. How old is he?
He's almost 3.
He's almost 3. So busy.
Busy. Yeah. Busy. But good.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
so, but you're able to do your job and kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah. I mean, it takes a village of people helping you out, to be able to do what you need to do. So, but yes, I like having a job and my own time to kind of do my own thing. Yeah.
yeah.
And do you think you're going to end up coming back this way? Because you're native to this side of the country, right?
Yeah, to Vancouver. I think we'll probably stay out here, although I do definitely go back east for work sometimes as well. Yeah. But I think we'll probably stay out here.
Yeah.
You're loving it.
Yeah.
You're loving
Yeah.
it.
Amazing. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Well, listen, thank you again for your time. We really appreciate it. And
Love
the conversation I thought was great. And I hope the listeners learned a lot and understand that, like anything, you can have good lawyers, good doctors, good stylists, good influencers, and you have to just be discerning when you're, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm going to just stop.
I think I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's really, like you said, it comes down to responsibility, and you have proven yourself being in this industry for so long, being like you said, like an OG.
Yeah.
And
I get that too. I get the OG. Do you
the
get
OG?
The young
Oh my
derms.
gosh, I get the OG. I can't believe how long I've been at Whole Renfrew. But yeah, it's great. So it comes responsibility, but you've done this, you've got this, and you're proving yourself all the time, and just your staying power and your ability to keep creating and keep moving forward is really, really great to watch. We love it.
Thank you. I really appreciate
Always watching.
that. Yeah.
Always watching.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to wrap it up there. Again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jilian.
We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, great. Thank you, ladies. Have a great day.
Thanks so much.
Catch us every Thursday for a fresh, exclusive dose of Skin to It. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on the skincare wisdom. We will guide you through the maze of skincare and cut through that noise to help you achieve your healthiest skin. Loving our podcast? Share your thoughts and help us grow by leaving a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Until we meet again, see you soon on Skin to It, your guide to healthy skin. Skin to It, a podcast brought to you by Bioderma.